everyone. Welcome to CED Office Hour Live. Today is March 2nd, 2023, and today we're going to be talking about partnering, collaborating, and contracting opportunities with Central State University. And before we get started, I always like to give a definition of community and economic development. And with that, it's just so that we can level set and everybody kind of knows what it is. Because like diversity, it's this big, vast, it's a short term, but it's a big, vast connotation to it, right? And a lot of people know pieces of it, but not the whole thing. So the way that we function with community economic development, it looks at the infrastructure, the whole system of how we live, work, play, thrive, and navigate through all of those spaces, right? And on one end of the spectrum is the infrastructure. So those are things like new construction, rehabilitation of buildings, creation of public spaces, like parks and bikeways, highways and sidewalks that you use every day that you don't even think about, right? The other end of the spectrum is the people development. So those are your workforce development programs that promote self-empowerment, self-sufficiency, um, just things that you develop as an individual, right? And then the connector between those two in the center are the organizations and businesses that connect both ends of the spectrum, right? And so in that space, we do a lot of capacity building, organizational development, business to business, also known as B2B connections, connecting all of those spaces to resources so that people and individuals and organizations can go to the next level, whatever their plan is, right? And we just kind of are a catalyst to help them get there. And our model, the way that we at the Community Economic Development Team at Central State Extension work, is that we work with you, the individual organization, but it's with you. It's not dictating what you need, how to do it. We're just saying we're listening and saying, hey, okay, well, based on what you told us, here are some resources or here's some knowledge that I can share to help you along the way, right? We like to say that we work ourselves out of a job, meaning we may do a lot of work up front to help you get moving, but the goal is for you to be able to work independent, and we work with you, right? So that is our purpose and how we work. We don't come in and dictate and take over. I like to tell people all the time when we're doing training that we're that marriage that you want to be in. We're that partner, right? And so that's just how we are. And over the last couple years since we've come into existence on the active assistance, we've created a lot of programming, and the CED Office Hour Live is one of those programmings. And the purpose of this program is to share resources, educate you, connect, make you have a list of people that you can contact to meet your needs. So to start us off today, we're actually going to have two guests. Stephen Washington will be joining us later. However, we're going to start off and introduce Mark Rendelman. He is our new program leader for the Community Economic Development Team. So, Mark, thank you for joining us. You will probably feel like in the next couple months that you've been here for years, but we are glad to have you and wanted to introduce the public to you. And so, can you give us a little background about yourself?
Hello, everyone. I am, as was indicated by Amber, I am Mark Rindelman. Um, wow, let's see. Born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. I am a Central State graduate, class of '84, and from Central State, by way of a co-op, I ended up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and stayed there for about 37 years and fulfilled my career objectives and retired from a career. I guess I had multiple careers, but my primary career was banking. I've got over 25 years in banking, and within that experience, there was about 15 years of regulatory experience. And looped into that were a few opportunities in the industry. and I culminated that concluded my career in banking. I finally got to that place where I had accomplished what I kind of went into it to do. I became the vice president of credit administration for a commercial bank, Delaware County Bank and Trust. That's in Delaware, Ohio, or Lewis Center, Ohio, above Columbus, Ohio, where I was in charge of commercial underwriting. So I fulfilled my objective there. I was a lot of people in that capacity. One of the experiences that I had during that time was I was a Community Reinvestment Act officer, and I dealt with a lot of compliance issues. And that was my introduction to this space that I'm occupying now with CSU Extension. Since retiring from banking, I went into insurance, and it was not my first venture in as self-employment, but it was one that lasted for about 7 years and was especially nice because I started at what would be considered a scratch agency. I started from nothing and made it into something. No client base to client base to sales. So I again was successful with that experience and was happy to have had that. Again, another piece that led me to this capacity. I also, on the side in the past, had a landscaping business, but not like most that you would see out in the world today. I didn't do a ma and pa shop, Mark's Landscaping. I set it up with a proper title, Green Life Design, and I turned it into a limited liability corporation. And that designation shined in my capacity. We've got somebody else coming on. I don't know if you want to introduce them, but in any case, I'll continue. And a lot of my client base thought that LLC was some sort of a landscaping designation, so it was a strong factor in the improvement or success of my landscaping business. That one lasted also for about 7 years. In an insurance agency capacity, sometimes you do things to supplement your income, and that's one of the things that I did. I also have had experience in ownership of real estate. So all that culminated into a career that has led me to a place where I was able to come back home. I wanted to come back to Central State and serve, and I was at a place in life where I could do that. And I, at this point, am serving a dual function and actually served as an adjunct teaching business courses for Central State in years gone by, and I've since returned to that. So not only am I working with extension from 8 to 5 or whatever, but I also am teaching right now principles of marketing. But Central State just has a place in my heart, and that is just what it is. I have a sister at the time, Judy Rindleman, now Judy Starks, married for 50 plus years. She's 14 years older than me. She graduated from Central State back in 1969. So we have a long legacy with Central State, and I have a son who came after me, Mark Rindleman II, uh, who has also graduated from Central State. My daughter went up the street and graduated from Wright State, but we won't talk about that today. But yeah, we've got generations 3 or 2, me and my sister and my son, that are all um, graduates of Central State, and we all hold it dear in our hearts. So I'm just proud to be on the team. Came on board with extension in community and economic development because that kind of lines up with my experiences. I had a brief period with CareSource where I was doing what started out as a community educator, similar title, but that name evolved despite the fact that the responsibilities remained the same. It became a community marketing representative. But that's how I look at this component. I think that we are out there with the responsibility to promote CSU Extension in all of its capacities. And we have, with that promotion, the opportunity to recruit. What are we recruiting for? We have a curriculum of courses that we teach to assist, and that's the important thing. I like the word extension because we extend from the campus, but we have the opportunity to teach and assist individuals out in the community that are facing various challenges. And that assist crosses all the lines. We're in urban communities and we are in the rural communities. We're covering all those facets. And this experience is special to me. I just mentioned it before everybody came on board that, the team that I was put in charge of is very competent. I feel special to have those individuals on my team as educators that are seasoned. How about that? The word seasoned, we're hearing that word again. But I love it. I think that everybody and Ambrose can relate to this. I told him, I think of you all as being in a slingshot and a string pulled back, and you just need to be unleashed to do what you do. And that's what we want to do. We want to take this extension opportunity, community and economic development. We want to take it to the world. We want to take it to the world. And we're not going out there with torches to tell you what to do. We want to ask you what you need. And from that perspective, if we tie it all together there, bring the expertise and seasonedness that we have to the communities throughout the state that we represent, it's our hope and objective to have some kind of an impact. And, that's what it's all about. Hand up strategy, just helping them. If one at a time, so be it. If not, let's reel them in by the truckloads, but let's help people, farmers, self-employed individuals, people with personal challenges. Financial literacy is a point of reference. I like how Amber referenced the definition of what community and economic development was, and she started with the individual. That's where it starts, individuals and families. We got to have the impact there because it's individuals and families that make up these communities that we're talking about making better. So we want to do everything in that capacity that we can to help. And I will talk for the whole hour. If you let me, you better shut me down. Thank you.
Well, you're in a room with a bunch of talkers, so
You give me the mic,
that's why
it's
we
open.
like this show. It's a conversation. I noticed we have some new people in this today that we haven't seen before. So, Simone and Karen, thank you for joining us. Um, if you all have any questions or comments at any time, this is a conversation format. We purposely are keeping it away from being the PowerPoint or you have this formal presentation followed by just question and answer. So it's a two-way. So feel free to turn on your camera and mic at any time or type something in the chat. We encourage that actually, right? So you won't get detention because you spoke out of turn. So welcome and thank you for joining us. So Mark, you are very vested in Central State University, and you've been on the other side, main campus. So, what are some of your reflections or kind of first impressions of extension? And what is your definition of extension since joining us? Just want to get a feel for that because one of our goals is to connect to the main part of campus, which has been a challenge because most of us work remotely. Ambrose is in Columbus. I'm in Cincinnati. Eric on our team is in Findlay, Ohio, and we move around the whole state every day. So my formal connection to the university, other than getting a paycheck, is to come for a meeting or get re-up on supplies, and then I'm back out because I'm in the field so much. So what is your first impressions of extension, your definition, and what are some ways that you think you can would like to strengthen our connection in collaborating and partnering with the university as a whole?
Well, let me take you back. Let me take you
Okay.
way back. I came into Central State back in 1979, fall of 1979. And at that time, we were probably, let's see, the tornado that happened probably in 73, 74. It destroyed about 80% of the campus, I guess, between Central and Wilberforce. So things were in total disarray. I came in 79. Now imagine this view. There were no trees on the campus. Now, some of you, you walk on the campus and you see these big trees. Them trees grew up after my time at Central State. There were no trees. What's funny is we could play football anywhere. We had nothing but grass. Uh, their library was under construction. They had a makeshift library in the back. That police
Mhm.
station was a makeshift library back there. There were other buildings still standing that had been damaged. So, the work was still in process with all of that. And, we came in, um, and I came from Columbus, so I had an opportunity to go to Ohio State, as a state institution. I came out of Eastmore High School in Columbus, but because of the legacy that was established by my sister coming in, as I indicated, and graduating in 69, it was determined before I knew that I would be going to Central State University. Now, I didn't object. I mean, it was where I needed to be because, we were athletes and I spent my time, I think, uh, with my sports, probably a
Mhm.
little more in high school than I should have, but it was Central State that gave me that, I said it once, hand up strategy, where they brought me in and I started out in what they call college survival courses, a curriculum that was there to take people with challenges and make them, help them at their pace and then bring them into the stream of college. I did about a quarter and a half of that before I was full stream college. And instead of taking basic math, I was taking the algebras and I was back where I was supposed to be. So I wasn't far off point. But that's what Central State was to me. We used to say I wasn't a number, I was a name. And here at Central State, we were a family and we all took care of each other, and that was special. So when it was I think it was my junior year, I had the opportunity to co-op, and I'll be quick with this story, but they pulled me out of one of my accounting classes. That was my undergraduate degree. They pulled me out of accounting. They said, we need you to interview because we need some people to interview for these positions, because that's how strong the recruitment office was. They knew who we were and they needed these numbers so that they could keep these people coming to get employees. So I had a panel interview with the Internal Revenue Service, and they interviewed me and evaluated me and concluded that I was arrogant. And I thought, oh my God, they said I was arrogant. I guess I must have come off too strong or something, like not caring. But it turned out that's what they were looking for, somebody with the confidence to go out and that could tell somebody that they were not doing something correctly. So I got the job, and I was the only one that got the job that time around. And I ended up going to Cincinnati, where I started my career with the Internal Revenue Service. I wasn't a tax man per se. I regulated one line on the 1120 corporate tax return, and that was retirement plans. How about that? There was a whole bureaucracy behind one line on that tax return. And we dealt with
Wow.
practitioners such as attorneys and CPAs representing uh, companies and corporations, doctors, surgeons about their retirement plan. So I got a real thorough knowledge of that. Ended up spending about 6 weeks in Chicago, Illinois. But I grew my career there, was recruited into banking and went on to do my banking thing. And then after that, got to its what I called its peak. I went into insurance and did that for a time. And finally, after I ended up retired from banking, and I spent a little bit of time with CareSource. But Central State, for me, I kept coming back. I didn't stay away. I kept coming back to teach because I kept wanting to come home. That need. We come to homecoming every year. You know, that whole HBCU thing where we keep coming back home. There's actually a YouTube video of me saying that.
Yep,
I'm back
I've seen
home. I'm back home, What you don't know is the lady I was standing with was my ex-wife. That's the way she said her last name instead of mine. But we was cool. We was together, y'all. We cool. But for me, Central State has had challenges, and probably for me, we back in, I think it was 1998, 1999, before year 2000,
Mm-hmm.
they were trying to close Central, and they tore
Yes,
down all the men's dorms, and Central had to deal with housing people in hotels
I remember.
to keep people going, and they did. I think this was under Art Thomas, if I'm not mistaken, who just
Yes, it was.
recently passed away. God bless his soul. Wasn't my president, but he was my vice president of what was he? Vice president of academic affairs when I was here. I was under uh, Lionel Hodge Newsom was my president, but kept coming back, adjunct, wanting to get a job to come back home to Central State. So I adjuncted for several years as a supplement to my insurance agency. So I kept my hand in the till. And Central has had challenges, but Central has kind of found its way, and now if you look at the campus, it doesn't look like anything like it looked when I was here.
And
You
it's
know, there
still
was
changing.
it was space between the buildings. Now buildings are practically touching. And that's a
Yes.
good thing because they say if there's construction in process, that means that the school is doing all right. And I just hold that true in my heart. Um,
Yes.
I learned a whole lot about life with Central State. I kind of grew up, as I indicated, I grew up at Central State, those impressionable years. And, I saw that there was a article about Mrs. Willis, if you all recall. Her family was the first, what I forget what it was. Her grandmother was the first something in in this area, but she was one of my teachers, and her husband is who I highlight, Herbert Willis, who was my accounting instructor. He was my professor when I went to Central State, and I finally remember him saying, "Go to the board, Mr. Rindleman." So I lived at the board, folks. But yes, Central State has had challenges, but it's been home and it's found its way. And right now we got a stride where we're not running, we're not walking, we're not crawling. It looks like we're running. And I'm glad to be back. I'm
Well,
home.
you're in good company because Mama O said that she remembered how scared she was of the landscape after the April 74 tornadoes that went right through campus.
Mhm.
Um, and that no one who didn't see it would believe the destruction, and look at the campus now, right?
Right,
And then you
right.
have Miss Simone Holder Nelson, who is also a CSU grad. I went
Right.
to University of Cincinnati in Cincinnati, but I did frequent Central State on a regular
Come on
basis,
down.
especially
Come on down.
especially during homecoming time. Yeah, so I've been a regular at homecoming. But so moving on, and Simone, I have a connection for you. I did see your chat, so we will get to that in a minute. Um, so now that we know that your attachment and commitment, right, of taking care of home at Central State, how is your impression with extension? Because extension is a little bit different model from the rest of campus, and where direction or some things that you would like to accomplish under your leadership while you're here at extension on the community and economic development team.
Okay. just one more little bit of history. When I was at Central State, Emory Hall was condemned. It was destroyed in a tornado. It
Hmm.
still was structurally sound. It has all this glass. All the windows blew out. The tornado went through the building and it remained standing. It's just hits my heart to have an office in this building today. I'm excited about that. In terms of community and economic development, um, when I was going through the interview process, what made it special to me, and I've had occasion to say this to my staff, and they were a part of my interview. How about that? That was cool. But I was given an opportunity to define my vision. So I was coming into a position where I say the ink wasn't dry, but quite frankly, I don't know if there was any ink on the wall. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were doing the work. Everything was getting done. The team is seasoned and they rah rah, go team. But we get to shape it. We get to make it what we want it to be. And we've all got that passion to get out there and get in the grind and make something happen. And I'm excited for that. That made it attractive to me to get the opportunity to take 30 minutes to define what my vision was for community and economic development. I took it back to food scarcity, which is a situation that has a major impact on community and economic development. These food deserts, not just in the areas that I've lived, but throughout the state, are a problem, both urban and rural. And, through extension, not just community and economic development, but all the other, from the four legs. But through all the areas, we have the opportunity to come together and work to solve these problems. Now, again, we can't impose a solve on a community. We have to let the communities let us know what they want, and we have to help them get to where they need to be. And that was very attractive to me. And I'm at that point in my career where I've had careers and all my experiences culminated in this opportunity. And I'm just proud to be here and excited to step outside. I'm not afraid. Let's do it. Take the team.
Okay.
We're all cocked and ready to go.
Yep. And I would like to introduce a couple people in the audience. First of all, Mama O, as we affectionately call her, she and other residents in the Edgemont community of Dayton have participated in Central State University's Extension Incubator Farming Program. And when I say that we're married, that marriage you want to be in, me and Mama O talk all the time, and we're working from a CED perspective. Not only we gave agribusiness training, but working with her on some of the other. We'll be working with her on some of the other programs that she would like to do in those spaces. Um, I also would like to welcome Mama O as always. Um, Dr. Terry Muff, could you please introduce yourself and your role at Central State University? So a lot of people don't know about the center yet, and I like to make real life connections when possible. You're
Let me
muted.
go.
Oh, there you
My
go.
light, it wouldn't let me go. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Terry Muff. I am the project director for Workforce Training and Business Development Center that will be housed at some point in time down at CSU Dayton. One of my tasks, or some of the things that we're going to try to do as part of that workforce area, is to connect individuals from the community, to spread those opportunities, to give them that workforce training opportunity to lead them to viable employment, sustainable employment, and that career path opportunities. So that's what it is in a nutshell that I'm going to be trying to do. Um, I am happy to see this is going forward. We've talked a lot. Miss Amber, we've talked a lot, and there's a lot of things that I want to get involved with. Mr. Ambrose, how you doing, sir? Um, Want to make sure that we continue to work together and push forward. I'm very excited about the opportunity itself. So excited. I'm trying to steal time Amber, trying to steal some of her time so she can help me conduct some things and lift some things off the ground. So thank you all for having me today.
Yeah, so one upcoming workshop from the CED team in partnership with Dr. Muff is we'll be doing our entrepreneur toolkit, and that's a lot of programming. Specifically, that one is about helping you to get started on your business planning or your ideation of whatever you want to do. And it doesn't matter if you're in just a entrepreneur space, you know, you're just thinking about in concept, but this helps you get it out of your head and on paper, right? Or if you're a seasoned business and everyone in between. So there is applications to that entrepreneur toolkit series, and so we look forward to being able to bring that free training. All of our training that
Yes.
we do from the extension side is free, and every effort's made on other ones to keep it at an affordable cost if a cost has to be applied. But we do it virtually and in person, so or hybrid, however it needs to be done to connect with the community. So I look forward to doing that next later. Oh, it's March now. Later this month. Miss Simone, just want to let you know, Miss Simone, as she put in the chat, she's the business opportunities manager with the area aging agency on aging. So not only with the opportunities, one, I would want to connect you with Dr. Muff, right? Because that might be some opportunities there. Steve Washington, I hope he's still going to be able to join us. He is over on the university wide level of the supplier diversity. He's the director of community engagement, business partnerships, and outreach. So he does a lot of different hats with the communities and bridge building and just connecting business opportunities to the university as a whole. He just sent us a message. He's getting, you know, he got pulled by the president, so we don't know if he's gonna make it or not. But I'll still make sure to connect you guys, okay? Um, and then I also want to introduce you to James Keys. James Keys is on our extensions family and consumer sciences team, and he works a lot in that space in your industry, and he is online, but I'll make sure even afterwards connect you guys by email. So and that's the beauty of this format, is that we can make real life connections in real time, put a face to an email kind of thing, and make good alignment, and would love to learn more about what you're doing so we can see however other ways that we can help you as well. James, are you able to come off mute? Because I know he was on and off training. He's traveling. Okay, so he must not be able to come off of mute. But um, so those are just some of the things, and some of you joined us a little bit later. Once again, community economic development is the whole spectrum of how we live, work, play, thrive, navigate, and our role as CED professionals is to look at that whole system, see where there's a gap or something that needs to be addressed, and then see what, based on our experience and resources, how we can address that particular issue in the system and plug that hole in the system, right? And so just love for you that you guys joined us today. Miss Simone, would you, and Miss Karen, would you all like to talk about what you all do? And we'd love to hear from you guys.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to say that Karen shared an invitation to this meeting with me, and I was excited. We jumped off of another meeting, which is why we were a little late, but we wanted to just pop in and hear what was going on. I've been with the Area Agency on Aging over 30 years, so my training is in social work. I studied social work at Central State, and then moved into the clinical realm, and I've been there a long time, and I've done many things with Area Agency on Aging. But I'm going to be quiet and allow Karen to talk a little bit about her historic collaboration with the extension program, because we've got lots of experiences to share, I'm sure, good ones.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Simone. And again, thank you for us having this meeting and letting us be here. We didn't know actually about the CSU extension until they reached out to us back in December of 21. So we met with Seth Swallow in January last year, and he's just been wonderful. They basically any programming that they offer that's specific to older adults, including the diabetes education empowerment program. We're looking to use the finances for older adults. And I forget I know he has some others as well. We're hoping to work with him on. We kind of ended up we were in the situation where we have the sites and the people, and we just needed the programming to send them to. And he's had the programming and needed the people, so it's worked out just beautifully for us. And that's what we're hoping. We've discussed with him as well potential for working through you. I think he said you also have connections through Edison State and every community college and things like that, because we're hoping to create a kind of computing education for older adults through him as well. But that stuff's off. That's off in the future. But we're just excited that you have so many resources and programs and people and just excellent information available that we can help to share with the folks in our region. We have a 9-county region, which luckily you cover as well, which is just perfect.
Yes, we
And you
cover the
already
whole state of Ohio.
yeah, that's what I mean. And you have wonderful leaders. I mean, I mean, we've heard people. The response has been just fantastic from the folks who have hosted your programs, and we're looking forward to doing more.
Okay, and in the chat, I put a link to our YouTube extension, Central State University Extension, our YouTube channel.
Okay.
And if you miss any of our episodes, we archive them there so that people can continue, and we go over everything. Like we just finished a series with James Keys and the Family and Consumer Science team talking about mental health and physical health and financial health and things of that nature. We've had the Bureau of Workers Comp talk about things that you need to know, the nuances between BWC and IRS regulations that can affect your business, right? So we try to talk about things that are for your mental, your emotional, your physical, as well as your business, right? And also looking at how to recreate or redevelop or just develop public spaces in which you reside, right? So Ambrose, and speaking with the financial literacy piece, did you want to give kind of a brief overview of Just a Paycheck Away? I know that it hasn't been launched yet, but at least they'll know what's coming down the pipe with that.
Well, thank you for giving me a moment here. There's a number of things that
Yes.
that folks have talked about. One of the my name is Ambrose Moses, and I'm one of the extension educators in the Community and Economic Development program area, along with Amber and Amber and Mark. And my territory, my assignment is to provide assistance training statewide. I started in 2017 in Cuyahoga County and just focusing on that one county. But one of the programs that I'm pushing this year is the legal environment of business and community, and really it focuses upon the impact or the applicability of different aspects of law to businesses and to community matters. And so when Mark made reference to his work with the Internal Revenue Service, and he mentioned that there's one line on the tax form and that there's a whole agency or whole group of people that support that one line. That was my first time really hearing it described in that way, but it makes sense. And I remember that when I took my tax class during first year law school, that the professor brought out a stack of several volumes of law, which was only the tax code. It's like the largest single section within our collection of law, and so that was very significant. So so on that form, that one line that his team supported, there's a lot of rules and regulations that go into that. And when Karen and Simone were talking about their work in terms of the aging, working with seniors. One of the things that Seth and I had discussed, and that we will be implementing, and that will come under this new program as well, is providing some information to introduce folks to wills and trusts and estate planning, at least some of the information about it. The university cannot provide any legal assistance, but we can provide education that can help individuals to then know about the issues, and then also what resources may be available to them. And so those things that are coming up in this discussion, I look forward to interfacing and working with you all as we go forward in those areas. That's all I have for now. I'm going to control myself.
Can I
I'm going
speak
to
up
regulate.
real
Oh,
quick?
I was waiting for you to go
Ambrose?
to the next thing because I'm so used to working. I was like, okay, let's go
Ambrose,
to the next program.
You
Go ahead,
sparked
Mark.
something in me, man. He referenced the code. Well, I'm giving my age away, but I predate the computer. We carried around manuals, the code. I think it updated every 6 months or so, and we got new volumes, paper volumes of the code, the laws related to taxes. And it was like, oh man, that was something back then. We carried big black bags. Here they come, the IRS with the big black bags and the badge. We had this badge, revenue agents.
Yes.
By the way, it was the revenue agents that took down Al Capone, if you didn't know.
Yep. Yep. So Ambrose, go ahead and go to.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead, Miss Simone. Go ahead.
I just wanted to interject that with regard to our relationship, we're very interested in programming that serves older adults and their caregivers. And so I know what Karen was referencing is just what we've experienced throughout the COVID pandemic, where everything went online. People began to access education and information in a different way. And we could see in particularly our 6 more northern counties, the more rural areas, there was some hesitancy with regard to technology and accessing things online. And so we're really beginning to think about how we can get technology in front of older adults and in front of people who may not previously have used it to the degree that it's being used now. And I know that the facilities and the instructors and the availability of people who have that expertise at the various extension sites will be so beneficial in trying to just unfold and demystify how we could safely use the internet to get business conducted and to learn information. And so I think that's the next step for us in our relationship with all the folks out there at the various extension sites, just how we can execute that. I'm very curious to hear about, what is being done. I'm excited. I'm appreciative of receiving this YouTube link. I'm going to be checking it out. I'm about to click subscribe now while the next speaker talks so that I can rack up some usership on that thing.
Yeah, and one thing and we appreciate that. And one thing about extension is, even though we have these existing programs on the community economic development team, we also have the ability to create something, right? So out of us planning, that's how we got the entrepreneur toolkit, because Mama O said, hey, we need to do some other stuff. What about this? So we put our heads together and we created a whole new series of programming. So it don't rely just on what's existing, because if there's something else that you need, then we'll work with you to cater something to meet those needs. So I just wanted to point
Absolutely.
that
And
out.
I was just looking at what's existing as a jump off point for creating something else, or, putting a spin
Yes.
on it, because you just never know how you can, parlay something into the miracle thing
Yes.
that's really useful to the masses. And so,
Yes.
that's why we're here to listen. But thank you. Understood.
All
So,
right.
so, so
Okay,
if I
Dr.
could
Muff, you
jump,
had your hand raised real
oh,
quick.
that's right.
Oh, yeah, I did. I didn't know if I had to raise my hand, and I was actually
No.
talking. So
Get a
I'm
word in,
trying.
okay?
I'm trying to show a little etiquette around here. And so,
We
no,
ain't no etiquette, folk. Come on.
look. I know we don't have to do that, but here's my question or comment, more or less. Um, One of the things that at the Workforce Training Center we're going to be doing, we also have CareSource will be handling and doing training for their home health care people. Um,
Right.
that's an area, and I'm not gonna. And every time I get a talk about it, I will put it out there because I know Steven is also putting it out there because he's heavily involved with CareSource in this project that's that development down here. But it is an opportunity, and there's some training involved, but there's also opportunities, the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. They will have an opportunity to pursue um, job opportunities through CareSource. So keep that in mind. I'm not sure how they're registering individuals who are interested in that training, but I know that training is set to start March 20th, and we're getting to that point. But we're also I'm advocating that if you have individuals and you know individuals who may have an opportunity or want that opportunity, they can either reach out um, well, heck, I'll put my email in the chat, but you can reach out to me via email, or Mr. Washington will also be the one that you can contact. But I'll stick it out there, my email in the contact in the chat. But please reach out so we can get that, and I'll get you to the right person to do registration to get that piece of it involved.
I already put it in there for you.
Just a little add on to you, Terry. I appreciate your reference to CareSource. As I indicated, I previously was employed with CareSource. CareSource is a managed care plan, largest in the state. They are twice as big as any of the other competitors. So they are a force in Ohio and several other states.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate the fact that you all are engaged with them to build up workforce with a career path into CareSource. That is really special. I applaud you on that. That's something nice. I liked it. I like that stuff. I like that. And that's what this is all about. I heard reference to Mama O, hello Mama O, how she spoke to Amber and said, this is what we need to do. And that's what this is all about. We can't just force this on you. You got to tell us what you want, and we help you get there. That's how this thing works. So I'm loving all the fronts I'm hearing about. Simone and Karen, I am closely affiliated with what you all do. I lost my mom back in October, and for about a year and a half, I had just given up working to be there for her up until that time. And I had intimate relationship with the organizations that it sounds like you represent, and they guided me through this darkness. So I have an appreciation for you, and of course my team. We're gonna get this thing going, and it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. James, I've met you. I know what you're all about, and I'm proud of what you bringing to the table. Everybody is. I'm just excited. I like this. I'm coming on next time, Amber. You're gonna have to lock the door if you think you ain't gonna get me to come back. I like this.
And
Ambrose, you're
Rochelle,
fierce. You're fierce, brother. I like you, man. You're fierce, brother. Okay. Just keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Rochelle, if you have any comments or anything, feel free to pop on at any time. Rochelle, actually, Simone and Karen, you all will, and Terry, Dr. Muff has already works with Rochelle. She's part of the Central State University Extension team, and she assists with a lot of the outreach activities and connecting and wherever is needed. She's a jack of all trades, and is very supportive in all of our work. So I will make sure you get her email as well. I'll put it in the chat. Um, so we are at C Mark. This is Mark's first time being on our CD Office Hour Live, and he was a little concerned about the time. I was like, "Oh no, we flow. Don't worry about it."
We
And
don't
and,
have to
and
go over
speaking of which,
today.
we are 5 minutes left into the show. Do you all, as an audience, have any general questions? Do you all understand extension, the community economic development work, as well as the workforce and business development center work? Or do you, any questions or comments?
No question, but a comment. See,
Okay.
I didn't even raise my hand this time, so I just jumped right out there. So, um, my comment is this. And some of you know me, have met me, but those who have not, anything that is workforce related that we can get uh, to connected on, please, my email's in the chat, reach out and let's find out how we can do it the best way and get to have the most success at what we're trying to achieve. So reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to talk, plan, and try to put something together so that we can achieve the best that we can from the workforce side for Central State.
Dr. Muff, you're going to be getting a call from me so that I can just get a clear perspective on what train is running in terms of these healthcare workforce shortage professions that are going to be accessible to folks joining the programming that begins March 20th. You may or may not be aware, there's a direct care workforce shortage affecting home-based care,
Yes.
nursing facility care, bedside
That's why I
care
stay
at
home.
hospitals, and we are keenly aware and advocating to do many things about that. So I'll be calling you for sure.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, sir.
Terry, I have a question for you. I've taught professional development at Central State from, all the way going back to the development of resume and the handshake when you go into the interview and how to speak and firm grip and all the way up through the whole process of getting hired. Will you take it back like that, or are you focused on grooming people for the CareSource path? And are you just in Dayton or are you statewide?
Okay. Answer the first question. We're going to address soft skills or essential skills as well. Going back to we're collaborating with individuals that's going to be able to give us that resume filling and update, because we realize that some people in the community don't have a resume. So we got to help them with that resume, help them with that development, so that after they finish training, they know how to properly state it on their resume. The other part of it is with regards to CareSource, I'm simply a vehicle.
Okay.
Stephen Washington is more involved in it, and Brandy Duncan. But we're all involved in this workforce training center down here in CSU Dayton. I have basically sworn on to every time I meet with agencies and people, I have this CareSource conversation because it's important, and because I know what Brandy Duncan and Stephen, what they're trying to achieve. So I've sworn on to make sure that everybody I talk to also know, in light of all the 13 different avenues we're going to have from workforce and training side, we got CareSource as well, and CareSource is big. So we're going to try to develop everything. And I hate to use the little cliche holistically, but that's what it's about. We're trying to bring it all totally together and represent the opportunities that exist with CareSource, as well as the opportunities that exist in the industries that we're pushing, which are mostly technical and advanced manufacturing.
I would
Okay.
like to sort
Go
of
ahead, Ambrose.
add. I would just sort of like to add to this conversation, but also for the sake of those who watch the recording later, just to emphasize the role of the cooperative extension service in this, and the approach of the integrated approach, where extension is that part of the university with Central State as a land grant institution, research, teaching, and extension. So research and teaching, that's predominantly on campus. Extension is that part that goes out into the community to deliver community-based education to help improve the lives of residents, and that is statewide. Okay, so we have with the state broken up into those 5 regions. Now, the integrated model of extension is that the educators, extension staff go out. They do take some education with them, but one of the primary roles is to determine and find out what are the needs, and then bring those needs back to the campus, where then solutions are researched and developed into programming that is then taken back out. So when Mark was making reference to we're going to go out, we want to find out what's happening, what people need, that's how that is done. That's part of that model. So the things that are being mentioned here today, this is part of connecting with extension and reporting those needs. Make those demands, make those requests, and you have on this call here, you have some of the key people involved already. So.
Would you like to talk about any of your other programming that's coming up or that you're creating?
No, we'll have more time on that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to bring you back as a keynote special guest, right? So, once again, are there any additional questions or closing out comments from the audience? You have any closing out comments, Ambrose?
No, I'm going to leave it there. Come back next
Okay.
week. We do it every week, so we will be sharing. I am looking forward to our ongoing sessions, and obviously talking with Dr. Muff about the things that are going to be happening there at the Workforce Development Center, because it also includes entrepreneurship as well. And I see that Ms. Simone is going to be speaking. I want to learn some more about that in terms of the home health aides as well, because that could be an avenue for entrepreneurship to help address that need also. So I think that's an area where extension is, and in particular the CED team, Community and Economic Development, where we could be of some assistance in terms of that need, statewide. But I'm going to step back now.
Okay, and Mark, do you have any closing comments or
Yeah, I got about
questions or
20
anything?
minutes to talk. No, I don't.
Okay,
What,
no, you can
I
have
just
one football minute.
one
which is
football minute. That's
one
all I'm gonna
football
do.
minute, so that's about 2 minutes.
I just have one question, and I'm posing it to all those representing the different organizations. Is there a career path for undergraduate students to follow to come into CareSource or to come into the home care field? Is there a career path that could be discussed or worked out with within your program, Simone? That connect the students to this process, and not just. I mean, yes, we don't want to leave out the community too, but the students also. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, and Rochelle, you had your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to welcome the young man, and it's been a pleasure to meet with him and speak to him before this time. And welcome aboard, and glad to have you a part of Central State Extension. And hopefully, everything that you have and planned, and what the other team members are trying to get accomplished within our community will happen. That is my prayer, that things will start really happening and picking up for especially our youth here in the Dayton, Ohio community. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Rochelle. And as I said, Rochelle is a connector with all of us. and she supports all of us and advocates strongly for especially our young people and young adults. So I put her email address in the chat as well, because that could be something of even for you, Simone and Karen, of coming up with some way for that informal kind of mentoring with your seniors that you work with and the youth. So think outside the box. It doesn't have to be what's done, and sometimes it's just an improvement on what has been done, right? So we're here to help not only educate, but work with you to develop additional programming. Mama O works a lot with everybody in the Dayton area, and she's trying to put together a youth program. So Mama O, I would suggest that you reach out also to Renita Porter, on who is works with James, is James's counterpart up in the Dayton area.
Yes,
And then
I just found out that my salad girl has gotten that position. So me and Miss Porter will
yes,
be having long conversations.
yes. And then I'll follow up with you on the kind of youth programming, actual program development side of it.
Okay.
And I got
And
some
I just looked
strategies
up
for you too.
CareSource. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Dr. Muff, because they got some money waiting for us so we can do this program. The goal is to bring teens back to the family and be able to do what we learned to do in home economics, since they're no longer in the home economics or bachelor living classes. So how do you make a menu? How do you make a shopping list? How do you budget your money at the store? Do you shop for your tongue? Do you shop for the sales? So we're going to have some hands-on activities. It's kind of like hide and seek, and then some cooking and some community tasting. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, this concludes our segment for today on March 2nd, 2023, of partnering, collaborating, and contracting opportunities with Central State University. We will circle back to the contracting opportunities, and we'll bring Steve Washington back, hopefully be able to bring him in, reschedule him so that he can talk about that, because there is, as was mentioned earlier, there's a lot of capital improvements. And with those capital improvements, meaning new buildings, there's one got launched, one is about to open next month. No, the end of this month. I keep thinking it's getting this March already. End of this month, we have the center opening. And then there are another 5 buildings that will be built, rehab, but basically relaunch and open over the next year and a half. So and there's a lot of opportunities that come with that short and long term. So we will circle back to that, because we want to make sure that we get that information out in time for people to be able to have the opportunity to partner and collaborate with the university on that. But until next week, we're here every Thursday at 3 p.m. 2 to 3 p.m. every Thursday. It's free. Feel free. Now you're on our list, so we will get the invites out to you. Feel free to forward it to others that you think may be interested. And then also, if you have a topic that you want us to cover, just let us know and we will work that in, okay? Because we want to make sure that we're relevant and stay relevant and give you information that you need. So once again, thank you for coming. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next week at 2 p.m. sharp.